No, we celebrated at our house.
Got it. So you are the host. That's hard. That's
Yep.
that's that's a lot of work. That is a lie. We rotate every year, and every year that I don't have to host it, it's like that in and of itself, it makes holidays.
I hear you.
Uh, so let's jump right into it. We're ready to start a new year. I'm super excited to see what's going to happen over the next several months with you guys. So anybody have like a success story or something that they want to share before we jump into it?
I feel like since the holidays were around the corner, it was kind of slow. But my first week starting off, I did because this is probably the first week back from the holiday. I did get a contract in, and then I got
Okay,
some approvals this week, so that's pretty good. Starting
that
the
is
first week
good.
off.
So tell me where those approvals and where those contracts come from. Like swim upstream a little bit for me and tell me where that business is originating from.
So a couple of them were from agents that I know, and then they've also become friends. One
Okay.
of them actually was a family member that sent someone my way.
Okay. How is it that the family member knew you were in the business?
Just telling him and talking to him and letting him know what I was doing.
Okay. So do you find that you do that quite a bit? I mean, are you always kind of expanding your horizon a little bit by talking to everybody that you run into and letting them know that I mean, because you haven't been in the business that long, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I try to, let people know and talk to them, and um, even if I don't try to be a pest about it, but
Right.
when it comes up in conversation, or if I get my opportunity to talk about it, I will.
Okay. Do you find that you have a great social network? I mean, between your family and your friends, I mean, do you feel like that's a really good place for you to generate business from?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay. I've
Sorry,
got
I
a
have a sick,
strategy.
sick baby home today.
Oh no. Oh
So,
no. Okay. Okay.
sorry, you might hear him whine in the background.
That's okay. I don't envy you. I don't envy you. I get the chance to drop mine off at school. So
Yes, usually I'm sorry, one second, I'm so sorry.
no problem. Hey Michael, tell me a little bit about you, buddy. Any activity on the horizon for you that you got for January?
Um, there's a couple people that we were waiting on their tax returns for this year, so hopefully those end up working out, and that's about it.
Okay. Do you have any people that have been referred directly to you?
Not in the last couple weeks.
Not in the last couple of weeks. Okay. So tell me a little bit about what your day looks like. Like what do you like between the hours of 9 and 5? What do you spend your day doing, and how do you define whether or not your day was a success or not?
Yeah, my dad talks about the DSP a lot, so that's what I try to do. I guess, I mean, I make phone calls and just try to get in contact with as much people as I can.
Okay. So when you say you talk to as much people, do you actually have an agenda every day? Like you spend the first 4 hours calling X amount of realtors? I mean, like Thor's Hammer, for example, are you using or are you participating in that 12-week program, or do you actively search out realtors? I mean, tell me a little bit more about what your activity looks like. I mean, I know you say you pick up the phone and call people, but I guess I'm trying to figure out where I can best help you become more efficient in whatever it is that you're doing every day.
Yeah, it's usually, yeah, I do the Thor's Hammer, and then I call the realtors that I actually do know and,
Okay.
and have
And,
had meetings with, and try to set up more
okay.
meetings with I guess, the Thor's Hammer people.
Got it.
So yeah,
So
it's
does that seem to be working? I mean, are you getting face-to-face meetings with new agents on a regular basis?
um, not as much this last month, but before
Yeah.
that, yeah, I was getting a few a week.
Awesome. Awesome. So how many agents would you say are quote unquote in your stable right now
Uh,
that you could literally call up and ask, ask to go grab a bite or a coffee or something, and they'd be more than happy to do it? Do you have strong enough relationships with any realtor that you feel like is a good or great referral partner of yours?
just a few, not as many as I would like, obviously, but
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly just, yeah, there's only a couple where I have like a strong relationship or above
Okay.
average.
So is that 2, 3?
Um, yeah, probably right around 3, 4.
3 or 4? Okay. How many agents would you like to have that are referring you on a consistent basis? I mean, let's be
Um,
realistic. I mean, obviously we'd all say 30, but let's be realistic over the next 3 months. What would be an ideal number for you?
Probably like 8 to 10, 7 to 10.
Okay. So we're going to do some math here real quick, and I want you guys to kind of see the averages of what the numbers really work out to be. I've tried to fight this most of my career, but every time I fought it, it always brings me back to the same conclusion. Like I never really believed it until I've seen it repeat over and over and over again. I have seen it happen so often that I believe that it's 100% accurate. There is a 30% rule in our business, meaning if you want to close 3 loans a month, then you need to meet with at least 10 people a month. And out of those 10 people that you meet with a month, you've got to generate at least 30 leads a month. So 30 leads equal 10 at-bats, and then out of those 10 at-bats, 3 of them will close. Probably more than the 3 out of the 10 will close in the given months, but on an average, 30% of your activities turn into closable deals in that given month. So if we go out there and say, I want to generate 8 relationships and generate them to be quality referable partners of mine, I have to go out there and I have to find 4 more agents, which means that you've got to go out there and court 12 more agents, and out of those 12, more than likely you've got to probably speak to 36 of them. I know that seems pretty daunting when you really put it on paper, but the truth is the 12 that are going to meet with you are going to be the 12 that I want you to pursue. So I'm curious to know, where would you get a list of 36 realtors that you could literally pick up the phone and have a meaningful conversation with? Is that something that your dad could generate for you?
Yes. Wait.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you actively call 30 agents a month right now? Or a week, or
Probably
I don't,
less than that.
less than that?
Hmm.
Is that something that you'd be willing to commit to me, that between now and next week you could generate a list of 36 realtors that you've not called on yet?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. What I want you to do, and Olivia, you may want to participate in this as well. I mean, obviously, we're probably all in the same situation. January is never as productive as we would like it to be, because most of us spend our November and Decembers enjoying the holidays and kind of scaling back because we've worked really hard for most of the year, and then we regret that decision in January and February because our volume isn't where we want it to be.
Mhm.
That's pretty consistent with history. My business was the same. The problem is that now we have to decide how we're going to ramp up our businesses for the coming months, and if we really want to make our goals a reality, we have a very short window of time to be able to really create that momentum that'll carry us through the rest of the year. So what I would like to do with you guys is spend the next probably 2 or 3 weeks just really figuring out which agents we really want to pursue. Not pursue as in generating a list of 36 realtors, but out of those 12, have met with those 12 in the next 3 weeks, and then narrowed it down to 4 through either conversations or the decision that you either like them or don't like them, or they are a good fit or they're not a good fit. But out of 12 agents that you meet with, there should be 0 reason that you can't create a 4 agent stable with that effort. Does anybody believe that might not be possible?
No, I think it's possible. Can I go back? So you're saying if we meet with 12 per month, how many leads would that possibly generate?
Well, let's back up for a second. So if you call 36 realtors, there's probably a good chance that only 12 of them are willing to have a cup of coffee with you.
Oh, okay.
Out of those 12, you probably will decide, and they will decide, that only 4 out of those 12 will probably want to refer you or send you business.
Okay.
Meaning to say that out of 36 phone calls and 12 appointments, you may only get 4 realtor relationships. You might get more, you might get less. But the average is about 4. And out of those 4, you should be able to generate a relationship that generates you at least 1 to 2 referrals a month out of that.
Okay.
So out of 4 realtors, I would think that if you're qualifying these agents, you're looking for a realtor that is capable of referring you at least 2 leads a month.
Okay.
And my belief is that out of those 2 leads a month from each of those 4, that's 8. And I believe out of that 8, you should be able to add 3 closings to your pipeline.
Okay. That's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the question becomes, A, we have to first get a list of 36 realtors that we want to start calling on.
Okay.
The second piece is going to be, what do we say to those realtors when we pick up the phone and call them? Now, I know that you, working for your dad, Richard, probably have the best mentor on the planet to be able to court into attract a realtor. I'm curious to know what you and your dad would do in those situations when you were able to pick up the phone and call a realtor. What do you and your dad say, or what has your dad told you to say that makes the realtor either A, call you back, or B, want to talk to you on the telephone?
Like a new realtor?
Yeah, let's say you pick up a phone and call a new realtor for the first time, and you're like, hey, my name is Michael Smith. I work with the Richard Smith mortgage team. What do you say that makes either the realtor want to talk to you, or if you're leaving a voicemail, call you back?
We were told, like, the script, I guess, was how we've heard good things about them, and then that we want to meet and to talk about, I guess, I don't know, I usually just say I want to get to know them.
Okay.
Meet for coffee.
So what's the attraction that a realtor has towards you? I guess that's the part of it that I feel like if we're going to have a list of realtors and we want to make our time worthwhile, we have to be prepared with some type of script that, yes, we want to learn about them, yes, we want to get them to meet with us, but what is it that you're going to say that's going to make the realtor attracted to you? Olivia, do you have any ideas?
Well, I was going to say what Michael said usually about how, we've heard a lot about them, and we would like to meet with them, and
But why does a realtor want to meet with you? Like, what is it about you that a realtor goes, yeah, you know what? I've not heard anything about Olivia and Michael, but I feel like I'd want to meet with them.
well, we also, we'll tell them about our team and, how the process goes and how we get work with good communication and callbacks, and, we kind of describe what our team does as well.
Okay, I like it. So when you have that presentation, can you role play that with me real quick and just kind of tell me, if I was a new realtor on the telephone, what would you say to me? I know I'm putting you on the spot, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm recording this call, and so whatever we say, you'll get a chance to go back and listen to. So let me take the pressure off for you and just kind of give you an idea of what I would like to see have happen in your conversations.
Okay.
The message that you guys create is undoubtedly a benefit to the realtor. I don't believe it's in how much I don't believe it has more, I believe it has more to do with how you say it and the words that you use, because I think the message is still there. You guys are a great partner for the agent, right? There's not a better team out there that can help the agent than you guys. So really, what's the benefit of the partnership that you guys offer? Do you guys offer them a chance to be more profitable? Do you guys offer them a chance to be more referable? Do you guys offer them a chance to create less stress in their day? Do you offer them a chance to have somebody in their team that's proactive? Are these all things that you guys believe that you're offering?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when we go to sell ourselves, we sell the I statement. We sell the we statement. We make it all about us. And what ends up happening to our audience is they begin to lose focus because all they hear is me, 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 me. Mm-hmm. And that's what everybody says. Remember in the beginning of these calls I said there's one thing that makes us different than everybody else?
Yes.
What is it?
Mhm.
We don't talk about us, we talk about them.
Correct. It is exactly that. We have a better skill of creating a frame of who we are, a picture frame of who we are so that they can understand it. When I meet with a realtor, it's always around what the benefit is to them, and I do not spend a lot of time talking about I, me, and we. I talk about them, I talk about their clients, and I talk about the benefits in it for them. So hear me out when I role play this out a little bit. You know, Mr. Realtor, I have found that our business, one of the greatest struggles that we run into is communication. That pretty much encompasses the biggest reason why most lender-realtor relationships fail. Would you guys agree?
I agree.
Communication is because you call the lender doesn't call you back, the seller calls you, you can't get a hold of the seller, the listing agent calls. I mean, it's all this stuff happens, and a lot of the reasons why everything falls apart has to do with communication. The reason that my business works so well in building up my business organically is because we focus on the people that we service. So imagine if your client called you up and said thank you for referring them to the lender, and that every Tuesday you were able to get an update that told you exactly where the loan process was, and that update also went to the listing agent and to the seller if need be, as well as the buyer. Would that make your communication between you and your client a little bit easier? It would make you believe that the people that are working for the same goal that you have all have the same vested interest, which is amplifying the relationship that you have with your client. See, the team that we have is all centered around one simple philosophy, and that is making you look amazing in front of your clients, because we get that this business fails more often than not because of people's intentions, but because of people's lack of ability to communicate. We take that off the table so that your relationship with your client and your reputation in the real estate industry with the listing agent and the seller is amplified, because you have a partnership with somebody that recognizes how important that really is. The lender that you currently work with, do they work in that same manner? Do they strive to make your business with your clients better? Do they succeed at being able to create relationships with your clients that you refer to them so that at some point they become advocates of your business, meaning that they go out there and talk adamantly about you to the people that they care about? Does that conversation differ in comparison to what you guys say to your agents?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
How is it different? Because I believe I hit on the same things that you guys did.
Yeah,
How
but
is it different?
I feel like I probably say me more than them, talking about them.
Okay. That's something that I want you guys to really put to memory, because that's a really key component to the originator side of this business. More often than not, when we go out there to try to quote-unquote sell ourselves, we sell ourselves and we don't sell the result. See, we want them to believe that we are after the same thing they are, but we lose sight of it because all we talk about is what we're capable of doing. We don't turn it around and make it about what really is important to the agent. Our audience, whether it be the client or the realtor, doesn't care about me statements. They don't care about I statements, and the more times you use that, the less effective your message becomes. So have any of you guys ever taken a public speaking course?
Yes, in college.
Okay. One of the things that they taught me in my class, and probably the same as you, is don't say every time you pause. I remember the moment that I heard that, it changed the way that I spoke, but it also made me pay attention to the speakers that I listened to from then on, how many times they say it. And I got lost in the message because every time I heard the word I focused on that and not on the message of what they were speaking about. I believe it has the same impact when all we say is I and me to our audience.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about us at the moment. What we're trying to convey to them is what the benefits are of working with us. And instead of talking about what we're capable of, talk about results. Talk about results as it pertains to the way that they see their business. See, when you talk to a realtor and you're really going to be that consultant, did we talk about the 3 things that we get paid to do? That we're a consultant first, a negotiator, and a manager of fears and expectations. Did we get into that yet?
No.
Okay, so, all right. So one of the things that we focus our job on is being a consultant, okay? We get paid very well to be a consultant, and a consultant is not a salesperson. A consultant is somebody that shows up, educates, informs, and provides value in hopes that that value translates into service that we get paid for. When you're a consultant and you're meeting with a realtor or a client, your number one goal is to figure out what their goals, wants, and needs are. Once you know what those goals, wants, and needs are with your audience, you're then able to turn that message around and apply it to their life. So I know that most realtors' greatest struggle isn't rates, isn't fees. What do you think the number one challenge with realtors is?
Yeah.
As it relates to lenders, as it just relates to the lender-realtor relationship?
Communication.
Say that again?
Communication.
Communication. Communication is the fundamental reason why most transactions fail, or they get messed up, or they end on a sour note. It's because one party or the next is not representing the true value of the relationship. If a realtor really cared about you, if a client really cared about you, if you really cared about a client or a realtor, then the value of communication becomes the number one reason why you succeed or don't succeed. There's never been a person that says, stop calling me. You call me too much and you over-communicate with me. I've never in my career heard that statement from anybody. But I've heard the other side of the equation, which is, you didn't call me. I don't know what's going on. I don't have an update. How come you don't leave me a message? What's the problem? I don't get an email. When's the appraisal being ordered? Why didn't you tell me it didn't come in at value? When are the repairs being done? I mean, it flows both ways. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So when you sit down with a realtor and you're able to convert that conversation into a meeting, when you get down to meet with them face to face, your presentation has to be less about you and more about the results that your team provides in a way that they are the focus of the conversation. Mr. Realtor, working with a team that understands the number one reason why most relationships fail is communication, we pride ourselves in that. We believe that our number one responsibility is to consult with your clients, to educate them and to find out what their real true wants, goals, and needs are. Then our job is to negotiate that through the process while you are in there negotiating the process of trying to find them a home and at the right price. And then we both are responsible to manage their fears and expectations through the process. We categorize that underneath the umbrella of communication. When we communicate, everybody's happy. It's never perfect. We know that this business is imperfect. But our number one concern is to make sure that everybody's willing and able to understand what's happening to accomplish the goal. And I believe that when we do that, we create advocates of our businesses. When you have a client that thanks you for referring the lender, and you have a client that goes out there and advocates you to their friends and their family and the people they care about, isn't that what we're all really after? We're all after expanding our businesses. We're all after expanding our brands. And as a lender partnering with you, and as we're able to do that together, doesn't that help your relationship with your client? Doesn't that help you expand your relationships and your brand?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
what does the lender that you're working with right now, what do they believe? Do they believe in the same thing that we do? Is that a better partnership for you than we are? And I'm not saying that you have to send me all of your business tomorrow. What I'm saying is if you're able to and comfortable with it, referring your clients to me will give you a boost in your business because you're going to see the value of what it actually means to work with a partner who is concerned about your relationships with your clients above all else. Now, I don't know if we're going to be a good fit for one another. That's what I'm hoping to figure out with you today. So before we go any farther, can you tell me what it is about your business that makes you referable? Why would I want to work my butt off to help you grow your business? And that gets into the whole shifting of, you know, who's the consultant and who's the audience at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a different conversation than what you probably give to most of your realtors?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Do you think that the message that I just said would be received differently than what you're used to sharing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you hear me say?
Basically that you are you want to help amplify their business as well as yours, but work well with them and do well for them as well.
Why is that message different than how you've said it in the past?
Because I think I say talk about me and the team more than them and how I could benefit them and their business.
Right. And why do you think your message isn't nearly as effective? I mean, the content of what you're saying is different, but the context of how you're delivering it is different, right?
Correct.
You're still telling them the same thing, but you're articulating it in a way that makes it believe that you're focused on them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Is this helping at all?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
I think sometimes I don't realize that I talk more about like me and the team and not about them.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's natural to talk and try to sell yourself more than I think it's just natural to do something like that.
Right. We're so used to really ego-based selling,
Mm-hmm.
and we really miss out on the real psychology of what it is that we're really trying to convey. See, the message is the same. We believe that we're the best partner for them. But if you believe that that's our normal kind of hardwired behavior, that tends to reason that everybody else that we're competing against is going to talk just like that.
Correct.
So how do you make your audience look at you differently? It's simply by changing up a few words and understanding that the focus isn't on you when you're selling yourself. It's on the service that you're providing, and you categorize it in what it means to them, because that's what you're doing. I mean, as parents, we tend to parent based on what we want at the moment, not what our kids want. You know, I've got a 5- and 6-year-old at home, and we battle with this every day. You know, we're always in such a rush to get out the door that we're more concerned about getting them out the door and for them to follow what we need right away and listening to our directions immediately, when we don't really realize that the kid is struggling to find their shoes or to put on their coat and they don't know how to zip up their jackets. I mean, we tend to look through our glasses at the world around us and think that's the only way to do it. The truth is that having a different perspective gives us a lot more power in how we're able to communicate effectively. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So my hope is that as you guys generate this list of 36 realtors and you call them up and convince them to meet with you, my hope is that by the time you start doing these meetings that you've practiced that conversation and are able to dialogue with the realtor to make it more about them. And I'm really curious to see what the impact is going to be.
I think it's going to be a little hard not to talk about yourself.
Right. It's going to be a shift mentally, being intentional about it. All I'm asking you to do is remove the I statements as much as humanly possible. And when you stop talking about the I, your brain has to start painting a picture that uses more you, them, clients, realtor, and you start beginning to articulate your value in a different way that's received by your audience at a much higher level. I don't know. Does this make sense?
It does, yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. Sorry.
I'd be curious to know how you guys would be able to handle that conversation. So I'd really like to see you guys practice that. I mean, because it is difficult. If I was to ask you guys right now to kind of put that presentation in your own words and take the I and the me out of it, it's going to be difficult. It's going to take you guys a couple times to be able to practice it before you finally feel conversational with it.
I hope it doesn't take too long.
Well, that all depends on how much you practice with it.
Okay.
And this is where the training really makes an impact. Listening to the call once a week is great, but the application of the concepts into your business every day is where you really see the growth. And I know that, I mean, for me, I wasn't meeting with 5 people a day, so I didn't get a chance to practice my script 5 times a day. It took me, it took me months and months and months to figure it out, to where I had done it 30 or 40 times, but I made it a point that every time I talked to a realtor, my goal wasn't at that point to meet with the realtor and get them to work with me. My goal was for me to be able to practice my script, because I know that out of the 12 I'm going to meet with, 8 of them aren't going to want to work with me. So my number one concern should be, let me just practice what I can, practice my skill set.
So it took you quite a while as well to get it down. It
took me quite a while for it to become conversational, meaning I sat there and I stumbled through my conversations, because if you really try to say what you want to say and stop using I and me, your brain has to kind of rethink how it's going to say those things. Your audience doesn't know the difference because they don't know what to expect. They just know that they're not hearing the I and the me statements anymore, and you're painting a picture that makes them see what the benefit is for them. And so I would challenge you guys over the next week, not only to come up with a list of 36 agents and to start calling them, but to start practicing that script and really kind of write down what the top 10 values are that your team has to offer: on-time closings, competitive rates, great communication, Tuesday updates, whatever the top 10 things are that your team has to offer, and look at each of those and write a sentence as it relates to how the realtor gets the benefit.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Okay. Top 10 benefits?
Top 10 benefits of your team, and then turn those benefits into them statements.
Okay. Okay.
So let's use Tuesday update calls, or let's use communication. As an example, let's just use weekly updates.
Okay.
Mr. Agent, wouldn't it be nice to have your clients receive an update without them having to call, and for you to receive an update every single week with an update as the loan progresses through the process, so that you never have to be in the dark, and that if you wanted to, you could literally pick up the phone and call your client with an update about the loan so that they didn't have to? I didn't use an I statement there at all.
Mm-hmm. That's hard.
It's very difficult. That's why the training that we're going to start getting into is going to be very, very difficult for you to apply if you're not practicing it regularly.
Okay.
Is that going to be something you guys are willing to try?
Yeah,
I hear you guys
definitely.
silence over there. Maybe I scared them.
No, I'm gonna practice on it definitely,
Yes.
because I think it would help a lot.
How do you think this is going to change the way you talk to your agents? Michael, I want to hear from you, brother.
I mean, it should, I guess, just, I don't know, hopefully build a closer relationship with them and
Okay.
to show them.
Okay.
Just
So
how I
you
can
guys both
benefit
believe
them.
you guys both believe that this is something that will work.
Yes,
I
I
do.
do.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if you guys both believe that it'll work, I want both of you over the next week
Mhm.
to write out the 10 things that your team does well, put them
Okay.
into statements that are not revolving around me and I and we, as best as possible. You can't get away from it at some point, but the message has to be more centric on them than you. Write out the sentences, put it together in a script, and I want you guys to be prepared to read the script to me next week.
Okay.
And that's the script that you're going to use, that you're going to memorize, that you're going to start using when you call to leave a message. You're not going to say it all, but hey, Mr. Realtor, whatever you guys want to say on the phone. Like I would leave messages with a realtor and go, hey, Mr. Realtor, my name is Doug Catteray. I'm calling because I've heard great things about you. And I'm trying to find a partnership with a realtor that understands the value of being referable. I have a system that amplifies relationships between realtors and their clients, and that makes your day-to-day operation less stressful. If you're interested in seeing if we're a good fit, please drop me a line. I didn't say I was a loan officer. I talked about the benefit of them by what I had to offer, and that was the voicemail. I think I have a better response on voicemail than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't tell them who I was, I didn't give them a chance to pigeonhole me, and I talked about what the value of who I am as it relates to their business is. Who wouldn't want to call me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Does that make sense?
It does.
Is that a commitment that you guys can make to me? A list of 36 realtors that you guys are going to call plus the 10 values. You guys can work with Richard on that, whatever you guys want to do, but I want to have a script that you guys are prepared to read to me next week.
Okay.
And I did record the call, so when I'm done transferring it over to a link, I'll send it over to you.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Is this helpful?
It really helped. I really like the one you said. Can I use that one?
You guys can use whatever I say. It's there for the taking. Imitate it as long as you need to.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Have a good afternoon. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the time with your family. I'm super excited to have you guys back in the fold, and I'm looking for great things this year from each of you. So let's hit it hard. I want to see that stuff next week.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great morning and a great rest of your day.
You too.